Good evening, friends. Day 12. Bar is closed. Sitting here in a hotel room in downtown Denver, Colorado, taking a quick personal trip, getting some things handled, and down here for a couple days. I have lots of friends here, and this is where both my sons were born. It's where I graduated from college. It's where I got married for the first and only time. So much history here, 10 years plus of my life, and haven't been back that often for the last several years, I guess 4+ years, so. But a lot of history, nice to be here. Kind of warmer than Sheridan. Sheridan was chilly cold. I mean, just bone-chilling cold last night. So nicer, bright, sunny, shiny days, Denver, Colorado weather, hustle, bustle. Feels good. I've noticed that there are a couple of bars here that don't serve non-alcoholic beer, so I see a world where every bar in the future has at least one variety of non-alcoholic beer and red and white wine, non-alcoholic. It's such a no-brainer. I'll eat there, people will eat and enjoy and socialize, and, this whole atmospheric thing versus alcohol thing. Not feeling terribly talkative tonight, so we'll keep it pretty low-key, but one of the things that has really been dancing in and out of my reality is really trying to grasp and understand a little bit more about myself, about the unique distinctions between what is my desire for excess versus what is, if any, my physical or mental dependency to any kind of substance, in this case, alcohol. And I think the more I was ruminating about it and really kind of dialing in and just giving it time, which is what's so cool about the process is you can kind of have it hit you one day and then kind of go on, disappear, and then come back up. This self-reflection, I think, is so key for anyone who is trying to create healing in their life and trying to really get with their purpose and just dial it in for themselves personally, spiritually, mentally, soulfully. So for me, I now see that my relationship is with excess. I mean, even now, it's kind of funny. I'm drinking way more coffee. I never drank coffee, 1 cup or a couple cups in the morning, but not during the day, not in the afternoon, not in the evening. And so, I trade off cigarettes and I trade off alcohol, but now I'm cranking on some coffee. So obviously, I have an addictive personality, and it's really related around excess. And I started to think about that a little bit more. I don't know much about dependency. Obviously, I have no medical background. I'm in no position to be able to speak about any of that. This is simply a personal story. But, I will say that, I'm not shaking, in my boots about drinking. Day 12 feels, actually, I'm hitting my stride in sobriety. I'm loving it. I feel focused, and I feel great, actually. I feel really happy, and I actually don't want this feeling to go away. It seems too good to be true, or not true, but to last, I should say. It's some kind of adrenal rush or something that is happening here just to compensate. I don't know, right? That's what I'm making up in my head. But anyway, I feel fantastic, thank you. And ultimately, I don't feel any kind of substance addiction with alcohol at all right now. It's kind of turned off. I'm able to put it in my head that that's poison, and that's not potion. And we know I love it. It's potion. But at the moment, in the 60 days, it's poison. And so just the thought of it makes my body get weak and get uncomfortable. And I remember when I was drinking a couple of days ago or 3 days ago, my first non-alcoholic beer, in the afternoon, right? And I was like, let me just go do an afternoon beer because I can't, because it's not alcoholic. So it was lunchtime, and these aren't the days where you get to do that with all your colleagues anymore and go to lunch and have 3 beers and burgers in New York. I haven't done that in a long time. So anyway, I'm splurging and having lunch and order a beer and a glass. But when I ordered it, my body was like, whoa, what are you doing? No, you can't do that. You can't do that. It was like it knew, right? That there was a consequence of drinking if I did it. And I had to get my own body and nervous system over it, saying, nope, it's not alcoholic beer and nothing to worry about here, people. And so hitting that spot where, my body knows it's created this poison mentality, that's really helping me. No interest in alcohol at the moment. But it does allow me the time to think about excess and all the ways that I've explored excess. And it also gives me a sense to talk about and think about self-image. So for me, I created this self-image that I was a good boy. I was like a bad boy, good boy kind of thing. But ultimately, I saw myself more as a good boy than a bad boy. I played a bad boy on television and lived into it the best I could. But all things said and done, because I was in the entertainment business, because I was on the road with rock stars for many years, because I was in recording studios and limousines with athletes and celebrities and all these things over 2 decades, and rarely participated in any debauchery on the road or any kind of, that was any debauchery I participated in was in my own house, but really played it cool. and wasn't a big Coke person and wasn't waking and baking and all this kind of stuff. Like, everybody else, that was just normal lifestyle. You're a creative person. You're a right brain hemisphere person. You get to do kind of what you want, and as long as you can handle it. And so I felt a little unartistic in that because I really tried my best to abstain from a lot of that. So therefore I created this image of myself that I was immune, I guess I should say, from that kind of rock and roll roller coaster / nosedive. And I think what I've come to terms with is that's a self-image thing, but that changes over time. And there were many times through the years where I looped in and out of some pretty heavy excess and alcohol and, who knows, sex and other things in my life that could be considered on the fringe and dangerous to your well-being and your health and well-being and your livelihood and things like that, and in doing so in those days and kind of not adding them up to balance out all of that good time I spent, I have this false self-image. And therefore, it is time to course correct that and say, no, over the years you've made up for some of that, and certainly you're not a train wreck, but you certainly have a relationship with excess. You have to admit that now, and that you have to channel that energy into something where that excess actually is really rewarding, which I'm doing now, the transition into my new gigs and my day job and just new home and so much going on in my life that I'm so inspired by. And I'm excited to wake up in the morning, and I'm excited to not wake up hungover, and I'm excited to work on how to get to sleep earlier through natural practices, and just elated about what the possibilities of my life are, and especially, embarking in all this. So excess, it's a thing, and it's different than substance addiction. For me, I think my relationship is mostly with excess. I guess we'll explore more of that later. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.